I reached two big milestones earlier this month. It's been 10 years as a medic. I joined medicine in July or August 2013. I've spent a decade in medicine now. The second thing is, there's this one specific place that I wanted to train in as a doctor for a very, very long time. And as of early this month, I have achieved that as well. If you've been a long-time follower of this channel, you would have heard me say this: I'm a doctor from Bangalore, India. Or this: I'm a doctor working in London, but now I'm a doctor in Cambridge. Hey there, lovely person watching YouTube. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ajay. I'm a doctor in Cambridge. If you're already subscribed, welcome back. I love you to the stars and back. I started my training job, which is the same as residency, earlier this month. I was very particular about what I train in and where I train in, and for a very long time, I wanted to train in general practice in Cambridge. So late last year, I decided it was time I stopped exploring different specialties and decided to finally apply for training in general practice. It's also called family medicine in India and in the US. As to the reasons why I chose general practice, I think I'll speak about that in another video. So I decided to get into training. I did my exam, the MSRA, and once I got the scores, I applied only for general practice. And at this point, I had to pick the places where I wanted to train. So my preferences were Guy's and St. Thomas in London, University College London, Imperial College in London, then Cambridge, Bristol, and Oxford. Now, although I just said Cambridge was the place I wanted to train in, I sort of was trying to stay back in London because I'd found a nice flat and I'd found really good flatmates. And if you have ever stayed abroad or stayed away from your family and friends for a very long time, you can probably understand my motivations behind wanting to stay back in London. So with my flatmates, the house, and sort of the friend circle that I had built around there in London, it had started to feel like home, and I didn't want to give that up in a way. And that is why I had three places at the top from London, and then I had Cambridge and the other options. And with my scores, I couldn't get to the ones in London because these are the top programs in London. They're very competitive, not specifically because they're better or anything, but more so because they're in London. And like I said, overall, I was also very specific about where I wanted to train, and honestly, if I had not gotten one of these places, I would have just not taken a seat, and then I would have retaken the exam and I would have reapplied again 6 months or 1 year later. And that's because I believe where you train, where you study actually matters long term. If you just look at the hard metrics, there are studies where they compare salaries or career progression 5 to 10 years after graduation, and then they say things like, oh, it doesn't really matter where exactly you study in the long term, 5 to 10 years down the line. But yes, immediately after graduation, it does matter. If you went to Oxford or Harvard or Cambridge, your profile is going to be better than most of the people. So immediately after graduation, it's good that you might get a really good job. But after 5 or 10 years, it actually, doesn't make that much of a difference. But I strongly disagree with that. I believe where you train, where you study matters, especially in medicine. Because you're not just learning the subject, you are interacting with people who are on a higher intellectual level than you are. You're picking up soft skills that might be very invaluable in your career. You are also meeting these ambitious, successful, driven people, and you're building that network, and a lot of the times that'll actually help boost your career prospects. I've always been fascinated by fancy schools, big universities, big university towns. I always wanted to see Oxford and Cambridge. As soon as I moved to the UK, when I go to the States on a trip, I will definitely be visiting Harvard and Stanford campuses. I just find these places very inspiring. I don't know what exactly about them is inspiring, but I just love going around and seeing these places. So when I first moved to the UK, I visited both Oxford and Cambridge, and I immediately fell in love with Cambridge. Oxford is pretty, it's nice, it has its own charm, but Cambridge was just on another level for me. Maybe it's because there are buildings that are 1,000 years old right next to really well-designed modern masterpieces. As a man of science, Cambridge has much more scientific history than Oxford does, and I think pretty much Cambridge has the best scientific history in the whole of UK. And some of the best minds to have ever walked on Earth have studied, lived, and worked here in Cambridge. So you have Sir Isaac Newton, you have Charles Darwin, you have Sir Stephen Hawking, and 100 plus Nobel laureates either studied or worked in Cambridge. And so many discoveries that forever changed the world happened here in Cambridge. Like there's this incident where Watson and Crick, who discovered the DNA double helix structure, Crick is said to have like ran into this pub called the Eagle in central Cambridge and shouts during lunchtime, "We have found the secret to life," after discovering the DNA structure. And then you have the Cavendish lab where J.J. Thomson discovered the electron and Rutherford conducted the first artificial fission reaction. It feels like I'm living in a scientific mecca, like just knowing that I live in a place where all of these really cool things happen is so cool. Like even just talking about this is giving me goosebumps. When I first came to Cambridge as a tourist, I went on a walk with this PhD scholar. He took me around, different colleges, and then he was explaining all the history behind the colleges. He also told me about this pub incident at the Eagle where Watson and Crick incident happened. So just listening to all of this, I was so mesmerized, and at that point I was just like, oh my god, if I can ever live in Cambridge, I should take that chance. This would be amazing. And then I finally made it, so absolutely amazed and happy. The only sort of a drawback is that medical training, like postgraduate medical training in the UK, is through deaneries and trusts and not through universities. So my training is not through Cambridge University, but it's through Cambridge University hospitals and Cambridge University like listed GP practices. It's a bit weird. So in a way, like indirectly I'm associated with the university in a way, but directly I'm not. But if I do any academic work, it'll be at Cambridge University. I'll be teaching Cambridge University medical students when they come to their clinical rotations. It feels like I'm getting like a sort of Cambridge experience, but I live in Cambridge, so I'm getting the city experience, but the university experience is, of course, I'm not getting that. But if one wants to get the proper Cambridge University experience, one has to be a student and be with one of the colleges, so they can like live in one of the colleges and like go to class or things like that. I have plans to do like a master's in one of the clinical subjects, so I can like stay in one of these colleges. I want to do it not only for the experience of like being a Cambridge University student, but I also want to like learn more things, do different things. So that is still on the plan. I might do it at some point. But for now, the Cambridge University hospitals and the practices that I go to are certainly more academically rigorous, and training is much better than the jobs that I did in London. I am completely enjoying it, and I'm enjoying living in this lovely city. So that's all for now. I think in the next video or in the video after that, I'll discuss what made me choose general practice or family medicine as my specialty choice. Stay tuned. Take care. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.